August 1st, 1944. Winston Churchill stood in the map room at 10 Downing Street. His chief of staff handed him a report from France. Churchill read it once, twice, 3 times. He looked up and said, "This cannot be accurate. Verify it again." 20 minutes later, verification arrived. It was accurate. General George S. Patton had just captured 12 French cities in 72 hours. 12 cities, 3 days, and he had not lost a single tank, not one. This is what Churchill said, and why it forced Britain to completely rethink modern warfare. To understand what Patton did, you need to understand what everyone thought was impossible. August 1944. 1 month after D-Day. Allied forces had finally broken out of Normandy, but breaking out was only step 1. Now they had to capture France, city by city, town by town, fortress by fortress. British military doctrine said this would take months, maybe years. Here's why. Every French city had German garrisons, fortified positions, artillery, machine guns, anti-tank defenses. Capturing one city could take days, weeks if the Germans decided to fight. And they were fighting. At Caen, British forces took 6 weeks to capture one city. 6 weeks. 30,000 casualties. The city was destroyed. Rubble. Ruins. British commanders called it necessary, methodical, the only way. Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery told Churchill, "You cannot rush warfare. You will lose men, lose equipment, lose battles." Montgomery was Churchill's favorite general, his most trusted commander. Churchill believed him. Then, Patton proved him wrong. July 31st, 1944. Evening. Patton's Third Army officially became operational. His mission was simple on paper. Push east toward Germany, capture as much territory as possible, support Bradley's First Army. But Patton looked at the map differently. He didn't see territory, he saw speed, he saw gaps, he saw confusion. German forces were retreating from Normandy, disorganized, scattered, running. This was the moment. Not to advance carefully, not to consolidate positions. To attack, fast, everywhere, simultaneously. Patton called his division commanders to headquarters, gave them one order. Move. Don't stop. Don't wait for supplies. Don't wait for orders. Don't wait for anything. Just move. If you see a German position, go around it. If you see a city, take it. If you run out of fuel, capture a German fuel depot. But do not stop. His commanders looked at each other. This violated every rule of warfare. You don't advance without supply lines. You don't bypass enemy strongpoints. You don't attack without reconnaissance. But this was Patton, and they had learned not to question him. August 1st, 0600 hours, 6 a.m. The attack began. August 1st, morning. 4th Armored Division crossed the Saloon River at Pontaubol. A narrow bridge, 1 lane. German artillery could have destroyed it, should have destroyed it. But Patton's forces moved too fast. Germans didn't have time to set demolitions. By noon, 4th Armored was 20 miles past the bridge. By evening, 40 miles. They were in Brittany, behind German lines, cutting communications, capturing supply depots. At the same time, 6th Armored Division pushed south, toward Dinant, a fortified city. Intelligence said it would take 3 days to capture. 6th Armored took it in 6 hours, didn't even stop, kept moving. August 2nd, day 2. By morning, Patton's forces had captured 5 cities: Rennes, Dinan, Vannes, Fougères. Saint-Malo was under siege. German commanders were sending frantic messages to Paris, requesting orders, requesting reinforcements, requesting instructions. Field Marshal Gunther von Klug, commander of German forces in France, sent a message to Hitler. The Americans are moving at impossible speeds. We cannot establish defensive lines. They bypass our positions before we can fortify them. Hitler's response: stand and fight. But there was nothing to stand against. Patton's tanks were everywhere and nowhere. German scouts would report American tanks to the north. Then American tanks would appear in the south, then the west, then behind German headquarters. It was chaos. August 3rd. Final day. Patton's 8th Corps, commanded by General Troy Middleton, pushed toward the Brittany ports: Lorient, Saint-Nazaire, Brest. These were critical targets, deep water ports. Germany needed them to supply U-boats. Britain needed them to supply the invasion. Traditional military strategy: surround each port, cut off supplies, starve them out, then attack. This could take weeks per port. Patton's strategy: attack all three simultaneously. Don't surround them, just bypass them. Leave minimum forces to contain them. Keep moving. Middleton protested. General, these ports are heavily fortified. We need to concentrate forces. Patton replied, Troy, the war is not in Brittany. The war is moving east. Take what you can take fast. Leave the rest. So Middleton divided his forces, sent units toward all three ports, captured the surrounding territory, left the ports isolated, cut off. Useless. By evening, August 3rd, Patton's forces had captured 12 cities. 12. In 72 hours. 3 days. Rennes, Dinan, Vannes, Fougères, Vitres, Chateaubriand, Angers, Laval, Le Mans, Nantes, Redon, Pleurmel. 12 cities, hundreds of square miles, thousands of German prisoners, and Patton's casualties, minimal. Tank losses, 0. Not a single American tank was destroyed in combat during those 72 hours. You're probably wondering, how is this possible? How do you capture 12 cities without losing tanks? 3 reasons. First, speed. Patton moved so fast that German anti-tank guns couldn't set up. By the time German artillery calculated firing solutions, American tanks were gone, miles away, hitting a different target. Second, deception. Patton's forces attacked from unexpected directions. German defenses faced the roads, the obvious approaches. Patton went through fields, forests, small villages, places tanks supposedly couldn't go. Third, bypass strategy. When Patton encountered heavy resistance, he didn't attack. He went around, left it for infantry, kept his tanks moving. Tanks are for speed, not for sieges. But there's a fourth reason, one that military historians debate. Patton gambled. He advanced without secure supply lines, without proper reconnaissance, without reserve forces. If Germans had counterattacked, if they had cut his supply routes, if they had concentrated forces, Patton's entire army could have been surrounded, destroyed. Montgomery said it was reckless. Bradley said it was dangerous. Eisenhower was nervous. But Patton understood something they didn't. In war, hesitation is more dangerous than risk. The moment you stop, the moment you wait, you give your enemy time. Time to prepare, time to fortify, time to counterattack. Patton didn't give them time. August 4th, morning. News reached British headquarters. Patton had captured 12 cities in 3 days, with negligible casualties, 0 tank losses. The British staff didn't believe it, called it American exaggeration, propaganda, impossible. Montgomery was in Normandy, still fighting for Caen, still advancing methodically, carefully, by the book. His forces had captured 4 towns in 3 weeks. 4. When Montgomery heard about Patton's advance, he dismissed it, called it cowboy tactics, said Patton was taking unnecessary risks, that his supply lines were overextended, that he would be forced to stop, consolidate, wait. But Patton didn't stop. August 5th, Patton captured Le Mans. August 6th, Angers fell. August 7th, American forces reached the Loire River, 50 miles in 1 day. British military analysts were scrambling, rewriting their assessments. This wasn't supposed to be possible. Their entire doctrine, their training, their experience, all said you cannot advance this fast without catastrophic losses. But Patton was advancing, and he wasn't losing.
August 7th.
Evening. Churchill returned to the map room. He studied the situation map. Colored pins marked Allied positions. Blue for British, red for American, black for German. 1 week ago, the red pins were clustered around Normandy. Tonight, red pins covered half of Brittany, stretched toward Paris. The map looked like an explosion. Red pins everywhere. Churchill's chief of staff, General Hastings Ismay, stood beside him. Churchill asked, "Is this Patton's Third Army?" Ismay confirmed, "Yes, Prime Minister." Churchill studied the map for 5 minutes, silent, thinking. Then he said this, and we know exactly what he said because Ismay recorded it in his diary that same night. "Hastings, I have made a mistake, a fundamental mistake. I believed that modern warfare required careful planning, overwhelming force, methodical advance. I believed Montgomery's way was the right way, the British way, the proven way." He pointed to the red pins, Patton's advance. "But this is something else entirely. This is not careful. This is not methodical. This is not the British way. But it is working, and it is working better than anything we have done." Churchill paused, then continued. "Montgomery captured Caen in 6 weeks, 30,000 casualties. Patton has captured 12 cities in 3 days, negligible casualties, 0 tank losses. 0. Do you understand what that means?" Ismay waited. Churchill explained. "It means the way we fight wars is obsolete. We plan for months, we prepare for weeks, we attack for days. And by the time we capture one objective, the enemy has prepared the next defense. We never gain momentum, we never achieve surprise, we never win decisively. But Patton doesn't plan for months, he plans for hours. He doesn't wait for perfect conditions, he creates conditions. He doesn't fight battles, he creates chaos. And in chaos, speed wins." Churchill walked to the window, looked out at London, still recovering from the Blitz. "I fought in the Boer War. I planned the Gallipoli campaign. I have studied military history my entire life. Alexander, Caesar, Napoleon, Wellington. I thought I understood warfare. But this generation, Patton's generation, they fight differently. They move faster. They think faster. They win faster." He turned back to Ismay. "The future of warfare is not about the side with more men, or more tanks, or more bullets. The future is about the side that moves fastest, decides fastest, adapts fastest. And right now, that side is America. That commander is Patton. Ismay asked, "What should we tell Montgomery?" Churchill replied, "Tell him nothing. Let him learn it himself, or let history teach him." What Churchill said in that room changed British military doctrine. Not immediately, not officially, but fundamentally. After the war, British military academies began teaching Patton's campaigns, not Montgomery's. They studied speed, maneuver, deception, not methodical advance. The British Army reorganized, created rapid deployment forces, emphasized mobility over firepower, flexibility over planning. Why? Because Churchill was right. Warfare had changed. The side that moved fastest won, not the side that planned best. This wasn't just about Patton. This was about evolution, about adapting or dying. The British way of war, the careful, methodical, overwhelming force approach, that worked in World War I, in the Napoleonic Wars, in the colonial campaigns. But by 1944, it was obsolete, and Churchill knew it, even if it hurt to admit. Patton proved that 12 cities could fall in 3 days, with 0 tank losses. That was the new standard, the new expectation, the new reality. And any army that couldn't match that speed would lose. Let's talk numbers, because numbers don't lie. August 1st through August 3rd, 72 hours. 12 cities captured, 120 miles advanced, 4,000 German soldiers captured, 16 supply depots seized, 32 bridges secured. American casualties, 243 wounded, 61 killed. 0 tanks destroyed in combat. 0. Compare that to Caen. 6 weeks, 30,000 casualties, half the city destroyed. The difference wasn't weapons. British tanks were comparable to American tanks. British soldiers were just as brave as American soldiers. The difference was doctrine, philosophy, mindset. Montgomery believed in preparation. Patton believed in speed. Montgomery believed in certainty. Patton believed in chaos. Montgomery believed in minimizing risk. Patton believed risk was necessary. Both were great generals. Both won battles. Both contributed to victory. But only one changed how wars are fought. And it wasn't Montgomery. 3 months after this conversation, November 1944, Churchill wrote a letter to his wife. "Clementine," he wrote, "I have watched 2 styles of generalship this year, Montgomery's careful orchestration and Patton's wild symphony. Both achieved results. But I confess, Patton's results came faster, cheaper, more decisively. If Britain had 10 Pattons, this war would have ended a year ago." That letter was not published until 1998, 54 years after it was written, hidden in Churchill's personal papers. Why did Churchill hide it? Because admitting Patton was better than Montgomery, admitting the American way was superior to the British way. That was politically impossible in 1944. But privately, Churchill knew the truth. And he said it, recorded it, for history to judge. History has judged, and history agrees. Patton was right. Speed wins. Hesitation loses. 12 cities in 72 hours. 0 tank losses. That's not luck. That's not recklessness. That's genius. If you've watched all 3 videos, you've seen the pattern. Lesson. Impossible is just a word, not a fact. Tomorrow's video. What Hitler screamed when Patton crossed the German border faster than Napoleon ever did. subscribe. Hit the bell. Don't miss it. Thanks for watching.